All right. Hey, everybody. This is another story coming out regarding a pastor and a no contest plea. No contest plea. So, you guys, I'm going to talk about this. This one is interesting, and I'm going to tell you why after I share this intro. Y'all stay right there. Let's talk about this. All right, you guys. Here we have another story to tell you guys about. This is Pastor Kenneth Flowers. Okay, Pastor Kenneth Flowers. All right, and I just received Kenneth Flowers, who have been ministering you guys for over 30 years, has pled no contest to 2 counts of criminal acts, which involved a 17-year-old young boy. Now, I'm going to play the video, and then there's so much context to this, so much information I'm going to bring up on the screen. But I want you guys to understand and get some knowledge about this. Now, again, why do I run these videos? Because I want people to do what is right. I want them to turn from things that are doing wrong and choose to do what is right. But a lot of times, sometimes it's not as clear to us what happened in some of these situations. So it's interesting, this no contest plea that is being discussed in this story. And I'm going to tell you guys some information on that as well. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not in the legal system, but I am going to tell you the definition according to an online search of what no contest means. Now, let me go ahead and bring this short clip up on the screen from this news station here. They were running several stories, and the news clip is very, very brief, but I'm also going to go into some conversations about what they're going to say in this article. So let me go ahead and run this.
Detroit police.
A former prominent Detroit pastor has pled no contest to 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. Reverend Kenneth Flowers is accused of sexually assaulting a 17-year-old boy in Farmington Hills back in December of 2023. Flowers had been a pastor at the Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Detroit for nearly 30 years. If convicted, he faces up to 25 years in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for July.
Okay, so sentencing for him is scheduled in July, and they stated on here that he pled no contest. Okay, no contest. That is, according to them, the plea deal that he took. Now, let me go ahead and explain to you all, there was a plea deal in this particular case, according to information that I found. But first, let me give you some definitions as to what is no contest. So let me go ahead, bring this down, bring this up so that we can get some, we got to learn some things here today. So let me go ahead and bring this on the screen first so we can share this information so you guys can understand the definition of no contest. It says here, defendant does not want to admit guilt. It says a no contest plea is made when the defendant does not want to admit guilt, yet does not dispute the charges. It allows a person to accept punishment for a crime for which he or she has not admitted guilt. The phrase no contest comes from the Latin phrase nolo condonere, which means I do not wish to contest. The defendant is convicted of the crime and sentenced to punishment, but can avoid liability for their actions. And I think that part at the end right there, can avoid liability for their actions, is part of the reason why this no contest plea is out there. Now, there's another definition here, which I'm going to share on the screen with you here, and that is this one. Let's bring that up. And this one says here, no contest. The legal term no contest is a plea made by a defendant in court when he does not contest a particular criminal charge against him. While a no contest plea is not necessarily an admission of guilt, it says while a no contest plea is not necessarily an admission of guilt, it is treated as such by the court, and the defendant is sentenced as though he has been convicted of the crime. A no contest plea is often used as part of a plea bargain. It may be helpful in a situation in which the defendant may face a civil lawsuit related to the criminal charge, as a plea or no contest cannot be used as an admission of fault or guilt in a civil action. To explore this concept, consider the following no contest definition. And it comes down and gives you this definition: a defendant pleading in a criminal case that does not admit guilt, yet it subjects him to the punishment as though a guilty plea was made. So it sounds to me as though this no contest is really to protect in the form of like this civil lawsuit that can come up. Like a person can be found guilty, and then what will happen normally if a person is found guilty, then the person could then maybe turn around later and sue them for maybe their belongings or so forth. Don't take my whole word, but this is my thought process of this. So it sounds as to me the no contest is actually trying to protect them from the liability part of stuff. So let me bring up this other definition here of no contest. And this is important to this particular story that I'm about to share with you all, okay? No contest versus a guilty plea. What is the difference? So I wanted to know that. What's the difference in the two? All right, let's go ahead and take this off the screen there for one quick second. Okay, so it says here, no contest versus guilty plea. And it says, according to this article, pleading guilty in a court of law means that the defendant admits the charges against them. When a guilty plea is entered, the defendant has no defense for his actions, and the court moves forward with the punishment phase. A guilty plea can be used at a later time if the victim decides to file a civil lawsuit against the defendant and he has already admitted liability for his actions. When pleading no contest, the defendant does not admit guilt nor claim innocence, but accepts whatever punishment the court hands down. Before accepting a no contest plea, the judge usually asks questions of the defendant to make sure he understands the ramifications of such a plea. Unlike a guilty plea, a plea of no contest cannot be used as an admission of liability for the actions that led to the criminal charges for the purpose of a civil lawsuit. Okay? So it says that. Now, it also gives here a part of a real life no contest. Slava Voinov, a professional hockey player for the Los Angeles Kings, faced a felony charge for a 2014 domestic violence, even in which his wife was injured. Voinov's wife claimed the hockey player shoved her into a television, causing a laceration that required stitches, and that he kicked, punched, and choked her. She later refused to cooperate with prosecutors, leading them to engage in plea bargaining with Voinov. In exchange for a no contest plea to a misdemeanor charge of domestic violence, Voinov was ordered to pay a fine of $700 and serve 90 days in jail, followed by a 3 years of probation. Varnard's sentence also included an order to attend a 52-week domestic violence program and provide 98 hours of community service. Additionally, the National Hockey League suspended Varnard indefinitely pending their own investigation into the situation, and the Russian hockey player may face immigration status and immigration issues. Because Varnov did not admit guilt to the charges, the outcome to issues regarding immigration, as well as his hockey contract, may hinge on the ability to prove his guilt during a civil lawsuit. All right. So it has a lot to do with that civil part. All right. So there's other related terms here, and I can put all of this in there. So back to now why all of this is important pertaining to this particular case, this particular pastor. All right. It has to do with possibly, from what I'm reading, if I'm saying this wrong, any of you who are lawyers in my chat, let me know. It has to do with the civil part of this, okay, regarding Pastor Kenneth Flowers. But going back to his previous video and reasoning as to why he is in this predicament, I'm going to share that. But I do want to share this as well. This is the church where Pastor Flowers was a minister. This is Greater New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church. Now, his information has been removed and photo have been removed from the church's site, okay? His information has been removed from the site. I was able to pull up this information. Let me go ahead and bring this on the screen for you as I dug to get details on Pastor Flowers and see, what's going on with this. It's really strange. A pastor who's been in ministry for 30 years, a prominent pastor. And I found that many people love this gentleman. So I'm surprised. One incident, 2 counts, 2 charges. Why? Why would a man throw away 30 years of ministry, family, all of this for a young 17-year-old? So I had to dig a little deeper in this. So here is I pulled up his name. This photo came up, and as you can see on the screen, it says Pastor Greater New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church, right? And it even has the website there. When you click on the photo, it says greaternewmountmoriah.org. But unfortunately, when you click that and you try to come up, it says the page has not been found. And that lets me know that they have possibly removed him from the website. So let me go ahead and bring this up so you all can see that it appears that he was removed from the website. All right. When you click on that photo. All right. So then I did some more digging, and I found some stories relating to people who admire this pastor. Here's one, and I'm going to get to the article as to what happened in this case and how this all came about. Here is an article that I found that's dated May 6th of 2021. And this says, Great Columns, a conversation about justice between friends by Rabbi Daniel Simi and Pastor Kenneth J. Flowers. And here are the two of them there. And it says, Rabbi Daniel Simi and Pastor Kenneth J. Flowers have agreed to share their thoughts on the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial with the Jewish News. And it also says here in the editor's notes that Pastor Kenneth J. Flowers and Rabbi Daniel Simi have shared a close friendship and brotherhood that has extended for some 25 years. They have laughed together, cried together, and prayed for one another's healing. And yet, Rabbi Simi cannot think of any moment in their bond that have been more impactful than the reading of the verdict in Derek Chauvin's trial for the M of George Floyd. The two friends exchanged their thoughts and agreed to share them with the Jewish News. So then they come on and they say these stories, and they say here, I must confess, It says, "Dear Ken, I must confess I have misgivings about the verdict. I know what I seen. I knew what I felt. It was so obvious, and yet American history has conditioned me to be cautious about my optimism. I listened to Judge Calhoun read the verdict, guilty, 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 and I felt an enormous relief, but at the same time, I felt profound sadness that a verdict that seemed so obvious could be a source of celebration in the United States of America." And then it goes on to share more information, okay? And I'll put these in the comment section so you all can take a look at that. I also found this as well, showing another person who admired this pastor. And so I'm sharing all of this with you all because it's like, what happened? What happened? So here is on the X, this is a person's X page, and they said, "With respected Reverend Kenneth Flowers from Greater Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit today in the city of Karbala." And this was an Instagram, an X post, and this was posted May 4th of 2019. So he seems to be a man who people admire and people feel as though is well respected. But what happened? What happened with this prominent pastor? And then I found the stories. Here's one article, and this article says this. This article here is from Detroit Free Press. And this article says, this was written in July 29th of 2024. And it says, "Prominent Detroit Reverend Kenneth Flower charged with SA. He says he's innocent." Now, remember, this is as of 2024. And the video that I showed you guys is actually of 2025. All right. So it says, "A prominent Detroit pastor has been charged with SA, a minor in Farrington Hills, for an incident that allegedly occurred in December. The Reverend Kenneth Flowers, who's 63 at the time, pastor of Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church in Detroit, was arraigned Friday in Farrington Hills District Court on one count of criminal conduct with force or coercion and one count of criminal SA with intent to commit penetration. Court records show Flowers stood mute and a plea of not guilty was entered on his behalf." Okay, this is important to the video that I just showed previously. It says he stood mute and a plea of not guilty was entered on his behalf. So then it also says he was released on a $25,000 personal recognized bond, which means he did not have to post cash or a bond, which would owe the court $25,000 if he fails to appear for future proceedings in this case. The maximum penalty in the criminal conduct charge is 15 years in prison, and the maximum penalty on the SA charge is 10 years. So that's why they said that he faces up to 25 years. Okay, because they're combining those two. It also says when I reached Flowers on Monday evening, his only comment was, "I deny all those charges, and that is all I have to say." Maurice Davis, listed in court records as Flowers' attorney, did not return messages Monday seeking comment. According to police and court records, Flower committed the alleged assault on December 20th, 2023, and was arrested the same day. Court records and a source knowledgeable about the case indicate the matter involved a 17-year-old male who lived in Flowers' Farmington Hills neighborhood. The Oakland County Prosecutor's Office declined comments on the case, and few other details were available in public records on Monday. More information on Flowers is alleged to have done well emerge on August 7th at a scheduled preliminary examination, unless Flowers opts to waive the proceeding. A preliminary examination is when prosecutors generally present some of their strongest evidence, which sometimes include witness testimony against someone accused of a crime. If a judge determined there is enough evidence to go to trial, the case is bond over to circuit court, where a judge or jury will hear testimony, examine evidence, and render a verdict. Flowers has been pastor at Greater New Mount Moriah since 1995, when he succeeded the legendary Reverend Benjamin Hooks, the longtime executive director of the NAACP. The church's website says it has 1,000 members and describes Flowers as a community social activist for human rights issues with an international reputation. Oh my goodness, this is a lot. It says this: he is held in such high regard that in 2019, Mayor Mike Dugan appointed him to serve on the city's Board of Ethics. He did not serve long, as he was deemed ineligible to serve after it was determined he lived in Farrington Hills. Flowers was known for his outreach to the leaders of other faiths, and his church's website says he is the first pastor ever at Greater New Mount Moriah to license and ordain females to the preaching ministry and to ordain female deacons. The church's website also says that when Flowers celebrated 25 years of preaching the gospel, his gala was featured in Jet magazine, was attended by Miss Coretta Scott King, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Dr. Benjamin L. Hooks, Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm, and Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. Noted TV radio personality Travis Smiley gave a video tribute to his friend. The U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals Judge Damon Keith once said of Flowers, according to the Michigan Chronicle, "My job as a federal judge is reading people, and as soon as I saw him, I talked to him. I knew we had a Christian superstar on our hands. That's wonderful." He succeeded Ben Hooks, and they had to select a new pastor, someone with the potential that could keep up the tradition of Ben Hooks. And I'm very proud of him. He's involved himself in the NAACP, the United Negro College Fund, the Black Pastors of Detroit, and I'm just so proud. I mean, so the article goes on to say all of these wonderful things about this pastor. Again, what happened? What happened? Now, I also found this story on Lipstick Alley. Yep, Lipstick Alley even had this story on their site. Let's go ahead and share that so you guys can view that as well here. So they had the story on their page as well. And that article was written on their page July 30th of 2024. And it shows a photo here of Pastor Flowers and others. Look at this Christmas photo, more photos here. And then it also has this commentary. And they said in their article, basically about the same thing. A prominent Detroit pastor has been charged with essay and a minor affair to his for an incident that allegedly occurred in December. And it goes on to say, Reverend Kenneth Flowers, 63, of Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church. So it's crazy. And it also said when I reached Flowers on Monday, they're copying the same story. He denied all the charges. For this man to be so well known, so well loved, how did this all come about? Here's more articles on this story, and I'm putting all of this up here for a reason. There's a reason why I want to have all this up here, because I'm still stuck on the no contest plea. This is from the Oakland Press. And this was written April 7th, 2025. And it says Oakland court filed defense offers plea deal for Detroit pastor accused of R in Oakland County. Prosecutor review pending. It says the attorney for a prominent Wayne County pastor accused of R-ing a minor in Farrington Hills has proposed a plea deal to settle the case, officials said. Reverend Kenneth Flowers, 63, pastor of Greater New Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, is charged with 2 counts of first-degree criminal conduct against a teen boy on December 20, 2023, as well as kidnapping him. The crimes are more serious than the ones he initially had been charged with. Third-degree criminal conduct and assault with intent to commit penetration. His warrant was amended in late October. Wow. Flowers waived his rights to a preliminary exam in district court. So they said this was even more harsher. Let me go ahead and bring this back over here. So it says that he is 2 counts, first-degree criminal conduct against a teen boy, December, as well as kidnapping him. Wow. These crimes are more serious than the ones initially he had been charged with, which was, I believe, third-degree conduct and assault with intent to commit penetration. It says on here on this article also, a pretrial hearing is scheduled for January 9th. A pretrial hearing that was scheduled for January 9th moved to January 30th, and his court file states that a plea settlement is being worked on. According to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, Flowers' attorney recently offered a plea settlement, but as of January 10th, it had not been reviewed nor presented to the victims. What? They offered a plea settlement, but as of January 10th, it had not been reviewed nor presented to the victim. Okay, this is a whole bunch of legal stuff going on here. It also said Flowers is out of custody on a $25,000 personal bond, which means he wasn't required to post any cash or surety to stay out of jail for now. Flowers has been a pastor in Italy since 1995, and it goes on to say all the wonderful stuff that he did. So I guess we're going to wait and have to see what is going on, but maybe not, because it says on here that he proposed a plea deal to settle the case. My goodness. My goodness. So he's offering a plea deal and the prosecutors are reviewing it. That's what they're saying, that he's offering a plea deal and the prosecutors are reviewing it. So here's my thoughts on this whole thing. I know sometimes the legal part of the way some people do things and why they do it is protect sometimes the assets, to protect sometimes credibility of others and so forth. I understand that. But my thought process is this. If you did not do this, then why offer any plea deal? Is it because it's going to be hard to prove? There's a lot to these stories, you guys. And I do know this. Thank you, Holy Spirit. A lot of people are always accusing pastors because sometimes it's what they call good money. They can get quick money because sometimes pastors are like, I don't want to have to spend time in court and have my name out there in these court records and on social media and all this. Just pay them what they want so they can go away. But then you have some pastors that will fight it. And they're like, no, we're fighting this. We're not fighting this. I mean, we're not letting this go. We're fighting this because this is not real. So I'm really curious, you guys. I'm really curious to find out more about why this plea deal. I'm really curious. Why this plea deal? What is going on with that? What is going on with this story? You guys let me know in the comment section. What y'all take on this? And I'm going to keep following this one and try and find out more information on this. I would always pray and hope and think, God, I really wish this stuff didn't happen. I wish on both sides. Thank you, Elizabeth. I wish that the pastors would not do these things. And I also would also pray and wish that the youngsters would not make up stories, because there are some that do that, y'all. They do. Hold on. Ooh, this cough. So we're going to keep watching this story. We're going to keep watching it. I'm going to drop some links in the description of this video so y'all can go check out those articles. Let me know y'all thoughts on this right now. I don't have too much to say on this because I'm still a little tossed. There's no contest definition has really sent me for a little bit. It's like they admit they're wrong and they're okay with, or they don't admit they're wrong, but they're okay with the penalty. Okay, so I'm not admitting I'm wrong, but I'm okay with whatever penalties you guys give me, and don't go after my civil stuff. Oh my goodness. This is a lot. Y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. We are praying for you, Pastor Kenneth Flowers, and I'm praying that these allegations are just that they're allegations. I'm praying that these statements are false, and I'm praying that other pastors who are seeing your story will make sure that they are getting their lives in order. And you guys, this is why a lot of pastors can't be around everybody, any and everybody, especially No Time Alone. And sometimes these pastors going to have to be around somebody who can vouch for them at all times. It's terrible, but it happens, you guys. It's terrible, but it happens. All right, you guys. Thank you all for watching. Tell me what you think about this particular video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, click that like, subscribe, and share button. I've got some more stories to share. I've got another story that's coming up here soon about a pastor who spent 8 years in prison for SA allegations of a minor, only to be released to say he wasn't even guilty. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I got that story coming up. So y'all make sure y'all click that like, subscribe, and share button, because I'm about to bring that up and y'all don't want to miss that one. I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.